If there's one thing I get asked about on a daily basis, I would have to say it is weight loss. And this happens in my Instagram messages, my email inbox, my private community, as well as over on YouTube. People are very, very interested in losing weight, how to do it, how to keep it off. And it can be a conversation that really needs a bit more nuance. And there are layers to it. So I'm really excited today on the Evolving Wellness podcast, this little bonus episode, to share with you a 20-minute clip of a longer conversation I had with my really good friend, Dr. Sara Pugh. Now, Dr. Sara stayed at my house for the last 2 months. So she was intimately acquainted with my habits, my household, and just how I approach health, and got an intimate view of this. And we sat down this week. She just got back to the UK, and we sat down over Zoom and recorded a 2-hour long recap. We didn't mean to really make it that long. So what I'm going to be doing on the podcast is sharing these shorter clips with different topics that we talk about. So this one is particularly focused on weight loss. Now, if you want to hear the whole entire 2-hour conversation, there's a chance that we might release the entire thing on podcast or YouTube format if there is enough interest. But for now, I'm going to be posting that full 2-hour clip in my private group. So you can watch it if you are a private group member. And if you are a subscriber, make sure to ring the bell so you don't miss any feature videos that come out, feature podcasts where we share these other little words of wisdom and snippets. Now, before we get into this, I just want to give a little context. We were talking about one of my group members who had just the other day written some amazing reviews about how much my 21-day program had been helping her. She joined the group and joined the program in February of this year with an 80-pound goal of weight loss. And she's already gotten halfway there. Here we are in June. So she's lost 40 pounds using these really simple principles that we talk about. And she is looking to lose the next 40 pounds. And her first question was, how do I go keto? How do I do this super high fat keto to lose the last 40 pounds? And just to give a little context of where the conversation started, we basically advise that as long as she's still losing weight and meeting her health goals, she doesn't have an autoimmune condition or some sort of diabetes or some sort of other health condition that really would benefit greatly from keto, we still aren't going to throw her strictly into a high-fat keto regimen. We just don't see a need for it. So just to give a little context to how the beginning of the conversation starts. And one more thing before we begin the conversation, I wanted to let you know that right now, today is June the 7th, at the day that I'm releasing this. Until June the 10th, I will still be offering 1 month in my private membership group with the purchase of the 21-day Leptin Reset or Quantum Nutrition. I also have several bundles where you can get 3 months or even lifetime access to the group when you purchase the bundle of all courses. That is actually going to be ending this Monday, June the 10th. I'm going to have the group access as an optional paid add-on and not going to be giving away that complimentary month. The reason I'm doing that is because for the last year, I have offered this as a value add to courses, to bundles. I've added a ton of extra information to courses and to bundles, as well as beefed up a lot of my free resources to fill in a lot of the gaps, a lot of the questions that I get constantly in my private group membership. And I'm not going to change any of my prices, and I'm not going to stop offering free resources and creating free guides. In fact, I'll put in the show notes, if you're new here, the link to all my free resources and free guides, so you can go ahead and download those. But I'm going to also put a link in the show notes and in the pinned comment if you're watching on YouTube to take advantage of this free month or the possibility of getting lifetime access to my private community through Monday, June 10th. That will be off the table, and then it'll be a paid add-on that you can choose to opt for. Now, in the group, we do things like this where here's a short snippet of a podcast. I'm going to give you the whole thing. I give them early access. We also have between 2 and 3 group Zoom meetings a week where we discuss things, and then a questions forum where people can basically ask questions and I am there answering them very regularly. And so that is just something I wanted to let you know about. And I hope that you enjoyed this episode with myself and Dr. Sara Pugh. Now, Dr. Sara Pugh is also an administrator in my group and is often in on those group Zoom meetings and just adds a really wonderful element and layer to the group. She's a wonderful person. I'm also going to put her YouTube channel and Instagram and all of her information in the show notes as well if you're not familiar with her and you want to go and follow her work. All right. Thank you so much for being here. And let's go ahead and jump into today's episode.
I'm not going to get involved, I think, in this one. But yeah, no, it's very true. But I think it's also like you said that we were talking about, this, that because you've lost the weight, but then you've stayed the same for ages. And sometimes it might not be what you want in your head, but you've got to let the biology, because I always say biology is really slow. And someone says lost 40 pounds. That's absolutely amazing. Why not just sit there for a month or 6 weeks?
Maintenance. It's kind of like what the
just get
bodybuilders
used to
do.
it.
They have refeed, and then they have diet, cut time, then they kind of do maintenance. And like I think if you just try to go through this massive, and then that's why I don't want people to just go keto right away anymore, because say you go keto, say Amy had gone keto. I'm sorry, Amy, if you're listening, that we're like using you as the example. She's so ridiculously lovely. Some of the things that she said yesterday, I was like, oh my gosh, she's so kind. But let's just take her, for instance. She comes to the program, the Leptin Reset, in February, and she has 80 pounds total to lose. And immediately she goes keto. And so now here we are 40 pounds down in the beginning of June, and you've been keto the whole time. So now what's the next step? What's the next lever we're going to pull? Are we going to have to start in doing a lot more fasting? Are we going to have to, like, you have nowhere to go, for the next 40 pounds. You're just going to have to keep on, because the metabolism is going to do specific things in a ketogenic state versus when you're not in a ketogenic state full time. There's so much that I think people don't understand about how the whole weight loss thing works. So now it's good news that she hasn't gone keto. Like maybe that last 10 pounds or so, 15 pounds or so, we play with some keto and some fasting, right? We get the body like in that position where we can pull those levers, but those are not the first levers that I want people to pull, because it's a really good way to kind of downregulate your thyroid and, have other signaling pathways in the body activated that we don't necessarily need to activate.
Absolutely. And like I was saying, back to the hormones, that what I do is you find a good place where everything's stable, then I don't like words like cut and refeed. I just say I'll eat less and for like 2 weeks, and then I'll eat a bit more, and kind of, rather than thinking, right, I'm going to lose 20 pounds in 6 weeks. I'm going to lose like 10 pounds in 2 months, and I'm going to put a photo on Instagram or do a bodybuilding show for my friend. I'll just be like more, I'll just do it 2 weeks and then stay the same. And I just do it gradually, because I think it's just a bit too easy to mess up hormones. And I really, as I keep saying to you, I really don't like feeling shit. It's like, and because when you're really in tune with your hormones, I'll be like, oh, I know why that's like that. And, I'd rather just do it. I like the tortoise behavior. I have learned that being a tortoise is better.
Yeah.
But again, it's like a totally, me wanting to sort of wear a bikini is totally different to somebody who's 350 pounds. So you have that, like, I'm always back. It's always to do with the context and the age, and what do you want?
Goals.
And
what's the first thing that we always ask people in the group when they have like, here's my list of complaints, and I'm like, what are your goals? I need to know, are you here to reverse an autoimmune condition? Are you here to lose 50 pounds? Are you here to lose 10 pounds? Because I'm going to give you something different to do if it's 10 pounds versus if it's 50 pounds. There's a totally different way of approaching things. Because so many women come to me with like, I need to lose 6 pounds. And I'm like, okay.
That's very specific.
Very specific.
But also sometimes, you can, I'm very much also about, I think keeping muscle mass is really
Hmm.
important, because if you
Hmm.
lose that, then you're going to mess up your metabolism. And also
Hmm.
I want to be able to carry on doing what I do in my 40s, which I can
Right.
still do everything I was in my 20s. And I'm just not willing to give up muscle mass. And I think for a lot of women, it's really difficult to build muscle in your 40s
Hmm.
anyway.
Yeah.
So you're not going to do it by accident. And I think there's a lot of people wanting to lose weight. It could be water, it could be inflammation, it could be, I think they mean they want to look better naked is really
Hmm.
what the word
Yeah.
they're looking
Yeah.
for is.
Definitely.
And sometimes the scales don't move. People have done leptin resets and other ways of eating, and the scale stayed the same, yet they dropped a dress size or two.
Hmm.
So sometimes being a bit too, I want to lose 6 pounds. It's like,
Stuck to the number on
yeah,
the
because
scale.
yeah, exactly. It's like if someone said I wanted to look really hot and sexy for my wedding, that's a brilliant goal. Or
Yeah.
somebody wrote a brilliant goal in the group the other day. I want to lose 20 pounds and I know it's the artificial sweeteners that's doing it, so I'm stopping those. And I was like, that's a really good goal, because you have a problem that you want to solve, which is
Right.
the weight and the artificial sweeteners, and you've
Right.
told everybody this is who I am. I'm being really honest. Let's just do it. And
Yeah.
that's the kind of really good approach. And it's like, awesome. Or want to, that's kind of, I want to help with that. So
Hmm.
yeah, I suppose with a person with 6 pounds, what if they were 100 pounds and wanted to be 94
Right.
and they were five
Like,
foot
what is
six?
that happens too? Because
No, no,
I,
I know it does. That's why I just kind of think, okay, I'm not gonna put I'm just gonna just stay out of this one. I think I'll find somebody else to help you there.
it's
That
tough.
my favorite
Yeah.
emoji face is that yellow one with the like, I don't know what to
Yeah.
do. I do really, but I think it's something that it's more of a one-to-one thing with
It is
the
a
right
one-to-one thing.
person, because
It's a
it's very
one-to-one thing.
personal, and you can trigger people back into binge eating,
Yeah.
males or females, either
Yes.
way. Like you can trigger like bulimia or anorexia or
Yeah.
overeating by accident, and
Yeah.
probably I could well have done that, by accident, because we're not realized, so it's one of those things. I think sometimes it's a one-to-one kind of thing.
It
And
is.
when 100% people make recoveries from all of these things, like binge eating,
Mhm. They
anorexia,
do.
bulimia,
They
and
do.
and it goes away, and it
Hmm.
doesn't come back.
Yeah, they do. It comes back to the relationship with yourself.
Mm.
And everyone says, oh, your relationship with food has to improve, your relationship with food. And I totally understand the sentiment of that. But food is an inanimate object. You
Mm.
can't have a relationship. I can't have a relationship with this freaking red light panel. Like no, there's no give and take. There's no give and take with food, other than food is there to give your body nutrients. It's your relationship with yourself and like, how are you caring for yourself? And how are you managing your emotions? Are you using food to numb your emotions? Like that's a conversation Matt and I were having yesterday. My husband, he's like, because he pulled up a picture of me when I was in my 30s, late 30s. And I just was like thick, I was just like thick. Like I'm probably 30, 35 pounds more than I am now, just consistently. And I just could never get below a certain weight. And he was like, you know why? Because every night
Oh
you,
yeah, you told me that. Like you used to eat ice cream at 8 o'clock at night.
or I would eat like nuts with dried fruit, thinking it
Oh
was
yeah.
healthy. I would just snack on like handful of almonds, like and dried apples, and just like, oh, it's paleo. It's like it's healthy. And it was every night because I was so stressed out from the day that I had no way to unwind. And it was like an emotional thing. Like I didn't want to be doing it, but it was almost like something took over my body. And it was like, this is how you're going to feel better, is eat all this freaking crap, or I would like put M&Ms in the microwave and like, oh, that never happened. I've been eating healthy, you know?
Oh yeah.
And I could never shake the weight or the inflammation because it was every night at like 8 o'clock, like something and it was all emotional. And so until I really, and going through alcohol recovery and going through meetings and sobriety did help me to say, I am using food to not deal with how I feel. I am using food because there's something that's bothering me, and or I've just had a really stressful day and I need to unwind. And so I'm just chewing, and eating and getting this mouth pleasure from, I need to just freaking go lay in the hot bath and maybe even cry about something and acknowledge that it sucks. Um, and that's taken me, I'm almost 45. In a week I'll be 45. And it's like, some
I've got,
part of me wonders if it's in when you get in your 40s, you just have a little bit more emotional intelligence and bandwidth, but it's also the relationship you have with yourself and how you're using substances to get you through life, you
but
know?
I just want to add there, in our 40s, I think if you don't suddenly start, oh shit, I'm in the perimenopause already identifying, because that's when
Yeah,
I
that's
actually feel
always
feel
driving
my
me
best, and that
crazy.
like I feel my best in my 40s. And
I
yes,
feel my best at 45.
but also we've done all the quantum stuff for ages, so
Yeah,
I think there's one of those things. I think people are missing a trick
yeah.
and jumping into whatever HRT too early, or thinking, oh, I'm going to fall apart because I'm going to go through the menopause, because I think I'm not going to use HRT. I'm just going to do it naturally. But I was just going to say that, like, that's a really important point. When you get into your 40s, I think we have like a lot of experience, and if
Hmm.
you like do the quantum stuff, you can avoid, like, I definitely don't have any intellectual impairments or brain fog or anything like that, unless I'm in the Bermuda Triangle. That's kind of
Like my
different.
kids, they're
Your
like,
house, yeah, but I think it's a really important thing about, um there's lots of advantages to being, in your and I even some women in their 50s said they felt much better just going through the
yeah,
menopause naturally, because
yeah.
they've got this wealth of life experience. Like, one of the things, the reason we've got so much in common, like, we very different in certain ways but got lots in common, the other is how we've had 20 different lives already, and already been
Already
20 different
in
people.
one, totally.
So, and it kind of, even though, like, when we talk to people or to each other, it's kind of, it's not like multiple personality disorder or schizophrenics having a conversation. It's, we've got these different lives, we've got stuff to draw from, and we've also met loads of really interesting and unusual people,
Yeah.
as well. And so nothing kind of much surprises us,
Mm-mm.
or we did it ourselves, or we lived with
Mm-hmm.
somebody that was that. So
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of the thing about the relationship with food is also back to always having something else more important to focus on than the food, whether it's, your children or your
Mm-hmm.
business or your, red light, your quantum practices, or some kind of goal. So,
Yeah.
so that the food, and also it's still, back to quantum biology and phones, dopamine, as much as I don't think it's all about dopamine, because it's more like a vapor trail, all of the neurochemistry and whatever happened. And then a couple of seconds later, out comes the dopamine. It didn't
Mm-hmm.
actually do it, but it is important that you've got to, like, guard your dopamine, and like you
Mm-hmm.
guard your electrons and guard your magnesium, because
Yeah.
it's just something that this current environment will just steal all three of those. And if you lose your electrons, your magnesium, and your dopamine, you're basically a sitting duck
Yeah.
for stress and panic, is what I found.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then you will be eating the M&Ms in the microwave at 9:30 at night and wondering what happened.
Yeah, I suppose. But the thing is, that, like everything, like, people have done that, and then I'm sure people have taken cakes out of the trash, and
Oh yeah.
people have a special. Oh, there's just so much stuff with people and food. But I think the most important thing is, first of all, not to be ashamed about it,
Right.
and secondly, lots of, I don't buy into this, like, I'm naming people as a sugar addict or a food addict. I just think it's okay. Humans are primed to be greedy, because if you watch animals, and things, they can be really greedy as well, and
Yeah.
children and stuff like that. And it's just something that our primitive biology thinks, that no, there's going to be no food tomorrow, and not to be bad about it, but just to know that you can control it. And I think back to what you were saying about keeping things simple, that
Mm-hmm.
I'm not being mean to people to say either, please, just, can you just go carnivore, but not straight away because it's simple, or take away the entertaining food, the crap, the nuts, the
Mm-hmm.
dairy, because there are so many other
You're gonna
people.
overeat,
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
just eat some fish, some fruit, just eat like food,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
like, and maybe, and it doesn't have to be perfect. It can be paleo to start with, minus the
Right.
nuts and the dark chocolates, and you just learn to not use food as entertainment.
I know it's tough. It really is
Yeah.
tough because you noticed it here in the US. You were like, I can't go to the grocery store. I can't go out because this like you get bombarded constantly with like food and advertisements and try this and try that, and the labeling and the packaging is so attractive. And I
Oh
mean,
yeah, there's loads of stuff I've never tried before, like the entire
wild
ice cream roll, like an aisle of just ice
ice
cream.
cream.
But
Yeah. Oh yeah.
luckily, I get actually that overwhelmed. If there's too much choice, I can't buy
Yeah.
anything.
You're like, no.
If somebody buys it for me, like the whole business with me and the jam donut flavored ice cream, I didn't buy that like Matt did when I was there,
You guys
because
went to the grocery store one night and just
oh
like
yeah, I
went
know.
crazy buying all this ice cream
No,
stuff.
we
All
didn't buy all this ice cream. The more weird stuff about that was, oh, we're just going to the grocery shop. And then we came back 3 hours later. And it's like your husband. We didn't do anything. I had a tour of Atlanta and like where he'd been to college. And then we went to the grocery place. But the thing is, we did that first. So the ice cream had almost melted.
melted. Yeah. Yeah.
But we only did that once, and it was really good fun. And it was
Yeah.
kind of I've never seen jam donut flavor ice cream before, and I think he really wanted, what was it, the maple syrup pancake one, or there was a cinnamon roll one. I was like,
I
no, we're just having one. We'll
I
just
didn't
get
touch that
one.
stuff. Like, no, not for me. Yeah, I think there's a lot of temptation in the United States when it comes to food, grocery stores, commercials, TV. It's
100%. And
crazy.
also the pressure of the sizes of the portions, and
Oh
also,
yeah.
yeah, that bakery
Huge.
in Publix. Like,
Yeah.
I just used to walk around it, and it was like, I don't even know. I want to eat it all, right? But I
Bakery at
can't.
Publix is like dangerous because it smells so good
Oh
and you're
yeah.
yeah, it's dangerous. I don't like to go to the grocery store if I can avoid it, honestly, because I'll end up buying things that I don't necessarily need to be buying or having in the house. And that's the thing we always say with the ladies is like, don't have it in your house because I can't stop eating this. I'm like, why is it in your house? Why are you
Oh yeah,
buying?
I know.
Like I just was eating this ever. I'm like, why is it in your house? If you don't bring it into your house, you won't eat it, like it's the
But
truth.
but also the other one of my phrases was, I don't want to know about it. Oh, because your
No,
husband would be like, do you want to try all these different foods? And I like actually said, like, most of the time, no. Do you know what? I'd rather just not know about it,
I don't
because
even want to know exists.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Because that's the thing. Like, I didn't never buy anything in the Publix bakery, because I just thought it's better if you just you don't know.
No.
You've
Yeah.
managed for 46 years without knowing what any of this is like. Just leave it alone. Same with the
Yeah.
key lime pie, the pie
Oh
cake.
yeah, the cake that you guys saw at the country store.
No, yeah, we
Yeah.
didn't buy it because
Yeah.
luckily it wasn't there. But also there was other things about, oh, do you want to try Cheesecake Factory?
Oh
So I
yeah.
went in and I had a look, and I just thought, actually, do you know what? No, I don't need to know about this. And I think that's a lot. And this is very important for children.
Mhm.
They don't need to know about this, because I
No.
didn't know about sweets until I was 3, and someone gave me
Right.
a Cadbury's flake, and I thought it was a sausage. So I think it's one of these things about, like, James doesn't know about it because he's
Mm-mm.
just not
Mm-mm.
given it. So as far as
No.
he's concerned, he doesn't know what candy is. So
No.
so I think there's a lot to be said about, you know, not knowing about it
Hmm.
as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we did go with Alexis. She thought McDonald's were just places where you had playgrounds until she was probably like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And someone gave her fries at some point, and then it was all over. We couldn't go back there anymore. But yeah, until she was like 5, she thought McDonald's were just like a good place for playgrounds, and Chick-fil-A had good playgrounds, and like she didn't even know there was food there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I do think, like, yeah, sure, there's like food here in the UK, but it's definitely, I used to say it all the time. It's like, and your husband and I used to say, we spend all day just going around saying no about to stuff, and
Yeah.
it's one of these things. It's like, and when I came the first time, he was like, oh, do you want to just get yourself food from Uber Eats? And I've never downloaded an app ever for fast
Yeah.
food, and I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, I could, but I don't know how to use it, because I think it's back to the whole having that on your app, on your
Hmm.
phone is
On your
like a
phone.
drug dealer on
Oh
speed
yeah.
dial.
Oh yeah.
And definitely, I just think it's I do understand from being in the US, but I still went there, and if I had no dopamine, I would have gained 30 pounds or something, because
Oh
I would have
yeah.
just gone crazy, because there were so many things I'd never seen before, like
Mhm.
the ice cream and cereal. They're just like, and endless. And
Oh yeah.
I totally get man v food, or people, let's eat our way around Atlanta.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I totally understand how people just go absolutely crazy. And I think the other thing that's important, when we did have the meal, we the day after, I was like, oh, I'm not why did I do this? I've why I've got water retention and blah, blah, blah,
Yep.
blah. And then I just will
We
just
were
stop. Whereas
doing
if people,
sauna and
yeah, and castor
castor
oil
oil.
packs.
Yeah.
Whereas if people just do it all the time, it's like I could see how it could spiral out of control.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you live there, so you kind
Mhm.
of have been through the whole eating your way around
It's just not
Atlanta.
appealing to me. Like I would rather honestly go hiking. I'd rather lay out in the sun. I'd rather relax. I'd rather get in the sauna, do cold plunge. I've shifted what's enjoyable to me and food. Yeah, I enjoy food and like I had a nice, it was fun when we got Wahoo that night, but
Oh yeah.
you can't like what used to happen for me that no longer does because I found a lot of happiness in just my regular life and surroundings. And we had so much joy every morning sitting out on the patio for sunrise. Like it was just you and I, we'd just sit out there and just talk. And we found a lot of joy in things like that. And sitting, we should talk about hydrogen because we've been going almost 2 hours.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I think I
We'll
want
have to
the
listen to two, but
I think also that's the other thing about finding joy in, like, because I used to like walking the dog, and you probably heard me having conversations with Petal
oh
and
yeah.
all sorts, and then talking to anyway. But it's like finding joy, and it is lots of really funny things happen with the
Mhm.
kids, and
Oh yeah,
and the
hilarious.
bouncy houses and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
fair enough, some people don't have kids, like I don't. And just for corrections, I'm not a bad mother traveling to America and
You
leaving my
don't have
kids
any
behind.
children.
People thought, oh, she's a bad mum, she's left her kids behind, but I don't have any. But
No.
also, I'm old enough; they could have been 20 in their 20s anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think also with the hydrogen, I know people get really annoyed about it because it's potentially expensive and it's made of
Hmm.
plastic. But then, as you know, I nearly electrocuted myself on my own air fryer and also a plug the other day